Hello and welcome to Politics Today. I'm Farooq Pitafi. Viewers, once again, we are going to talk about Pakistan's politics and because many important developments are taking place. On one side, you have seen that the budget session continues and the debates are going on, and it seems that the debate surrounds whether the glass is half full or whether there is a glass at all. The government believes that things are progressing and they are getting better, and the government keeps on telling you that it has accomplished a lot. But when you listen to the opposition, they repeatedly tell you that nothing at all is happening in the country. Whatever is happening is actually the undoing of things. We are going to talk about the budget session as well, but there were other developments. For example, Asif Ali Zardari, the former president and co-chairperson of Pakistan People's Party, who met with Parvez Elahi in Lahore. Now the media will also obviously tell you how important this meeting is. But when you look at the geography of it, that is also very significant. Remember that it was taking place in Bilawal House in Lahore, which is in Bahria town. And remember, the powerful forces that might be in Pakistan, especially a property developer, you have to keep it in mind that while these politicians keep on meeting and politicking, the overall geography is being decided by these powerful forces. Then, of course, is the question of electoral reforms that we have actually repeatedly pointed out in this program and discussed as well. And the Federal Minister for Information actually pointed out that essentially the voting right for the expatriates, the overseas Pakistanis, is the biggest challenge right now because opposition doesn't seem to be actually talking about these matters. We are going to talk about all these issues and we are going to try to do justice to all of them. In order to help us understand these issues in the studio, I'm joined by Javed Jadoon Saab, who's a political analyst and senior journalist. Thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program. Ghazala Saifi Saiba joins us on Skype, who's MNA of Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, and also she's going to very vocally advocate for her party's point of view as well. A third guest joins us. I don't know whether he has joined us or not, but Arif Chaudhry Saab, a legal expert, will be, actually I can see his picture, so that means he has also joined us, and a constitutionalist and expert on legal matters joins us on Skype as well. Arif Chaudhry Saab, thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program. Let me start with the studio. Javed Jadoon Saab, Parvez Elahi meeting with Asif Ali Zardari in Bahria town. Is it a big news item or not?
Farooq, I think if you ask me, it would be reading a bit too much into that meeting.
Okay.
Politicians should be meeting each other, and Parvez Elahi's party was an ally of President Zardari's government. And I think they had very good working relations, as well as was stated by Mr. Elahi as well. So details haven't come out. The joint statement only says that they discussed the political situation in the country
And they praised
and the
Bilawal
parliament.
Bhutto
And of
Zardari.
course, he said that I praised Bilawal's maturity. Politically, he is very mature. The speeches he made in the parliament were very mature speeches, so on and so forth. But I would tend to agree with you that one definitely tends to believe that maybe at the surface you find something, and then beneath the surface things keep going on. And such context definitely create some kind of a political stir as well. When there is a lot of acrimony, a lot of animosity between various political parties, particularly the PDM on one hand and the PTI-led government in Islamabad and in Punjab as well. So I believe that probably something substantive, or probably just a very routine meeting. But I think we need to wait and see what really comes out. If
Yeah.
something, but one thing is sure that Chaudhrys are going to be with the government till its tenure completes in 2023. Beyond that, you really can't predict.
One argument that is there is Asif Ali Zardari has gone shopping to Punjab, right? Because he sees that there is a possibility of his party actually taking back southern Punjab. So an alliance with the Chaudhrys might actually come in handy. This is one possibility. Secondly, I kept on hinting at the location. And in the past, whenever a chairman NAB would be retiring, all of a sudden Zardari Sahab would go and meet Nawaz Sharif or somebody else, and after that somehow a candidate would emerge that would be acceptable to Asif Ali Zardari Sahab's big supporter in Bahria town. So is there a possibility of that sort as well?
I think I would agree with you, because Zardari Sahab is a very, very shrewd politician, very subtle operator, and he does things which probably
Zardari
don't
Sahab.
seem to Zardari
Zardari
Sahab don't seem to be very important, but
Not Malik
ultimately
Riaz.
I think Malik Riaz definitely
Actually,
is
that
an
is subtle
influential person, a tycoon,
Yeah.
and financier as well. But I think most importantly, Farooq, People's Party is trying to revive itself in Punjab.
Right. Let me.
And I think he has given a hint as well that an important personality from South Punjab might be joining Pakistan People's Party. Let's see who that gentleman is or who that personality is.
This might actually give us an added bonus in the discussion. We are going to talk about Southern Punjab as well, because we know that before every election, a small group actually detaches itself from the ruling party and joins another that eventually rules the country later. But let me bring in Hazala Saifi Sahiba. Hazala Saifi Sahiba, we have seen some remarkable scenes in this budget session. But at this moment, it seems that while the government keeps on reminding the lawmakers that it is doing a lot for the country, the second argument or aspect which is being highlighted by the government is the importance of electoral reforms. And it seems that the opposition is not ready to buy in. Why do you think that is?
Well, I don't know whether it's a matter of credit to Dr. Patapi for calling me for this program. I mean, electoral reforms have been a topic of discussion much before the PTI government came into existence, and it was the demand of these two other parties who are now sitting in the opposition, and more than the two parties who are sitting in the opposition, to have electoral reforms. So if the party in power, that is Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, is asking for electoral reforms, exactly what they were asking for, I don't know whether this has become a matter of ego, but we cannot sacrifice the nation's uh, whole system, which can actually bring a lot of solutions for the future elections, and also the expats, the inclusion of expats is also somehow not acceptable by most of our honorable opposition members, which seems as if this is something which is coming from people who are not Pakistanis. So if Pakistanis who are putting money in Pakistani exchequer and bringing an economic change in the country, if they are also given the right, because they are true Pakistanis and they love their country, though they have been detached because of work and because of jobs and because of other conditions. And
Right.
Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf chairman, party members, and otherwise also a lot of people feel that they should be a part of the election process, and they should be given the chance to vote. That was happening last term also, but this
Right.
time this is part of the agenda
Azala
to
Safi
put it.
Sahaba, because you're talking about many aspects of electoral reforms, and of course, there are many other questions I have for you, and I'm going to actually ask them later in the program. But let me start with the electronic voting machines. It seems that the government is really convinced of the efficacy of these machines, right? But have you done homework on this? Because it seems that any machine or procurement of any machine at such a grand level will need a lot of money. How are you going to actually raise money in a state of affairs where the country still has a fiscal deficit?
Well, it's not very far off. The elections are just 2 years away from now, and the government feels, and most of the people feel that this electronic system can be put up in areas where there is a massive population, in cities, and it can work out in many of the rural areas where there's no problem with Wi-Fi and with electronic machines to put in. So I think it's a good omen. It's a futuristic approach, and it can cater for a larger population. Not fully to start off, but it's a good step forward to bring better electoral system in place.
Right. One was actually hoping that while the government tries to convince the opposition, it actually brings all these facts before the people as well, maybe some kind of presentation. But I'm going to come back to you, ma'am. Let me bring in Arif Chaudhry Sahab. Arif Chaudhry Sahab, how important is the matter of electoral reforms? And let me ask you, do you think that the current laws that we have don't cater to the needs of today? Can you actually comment on that first?
No, as far as laws are concerned, I think, they cater for the needs of, today and, tomorrow. But there are few things which really need to be updated and amended. And, inclusion of these expatriates, into electoral system, that's very important and it requires a lot of homework. And then there are some fundamental questions regarding constitutionality of certain acts which have been pointed out by election commission. One thing which I would like to put emphasis that election commission should give its opinions, it should give its suggestions, but should not become a party. It shouldn't look like that. Election commission and opposition play together, they stand together. That's, because it's not going to help us in any manner, positive, towards positive direction in the country. Because election commissions should be very independent, fair, and, every action should be transparent. As far as government is concerned, I think this suggestion of bringing into the mainstream, all these expatriates, those who are living in abroad and, they are serving Pakistan, and they are much, interested in Pakistan's politics rather more than those people who are living here. It's very important, but, because there are many stakeholders, people have their many doubts, and you have seen, even if they have been allowed to vote, we didn't see that, the turnover, turnout was not that much. That they didn't. I think perhaps 5,000 people, voters, cast their votes from abroad. So I think it is not one way, yeah, or it should be as a whole, government should take this, mission, and they should convince people
Right.
to be part of the system. And as far as all other aspects, legal and constitutional, are concerned, government should take all opposition parties on board. Because
Absolutely. Arif
Ghazala
Chaudhry
said he
Sahab,
has not answered your question regarding
right,
financial
but I'm going
aspect
to
of machine.
go for that. You added to what was being said. Let me take you back to what you said earlier. You were talking about the election commission. You said that the election commission should not actually appear partisan. But then you also said that it should be transparent and independent. Now, I want to understand what is the definition here of independence. To have its own opinion, independent of a government, or something else, sir?
Independent of any inclination or any with partisanship with any political party, because in past what we have seen, government on one way or the other, they, were pitched against election commission, and Prime Minister spoke a lot against, election commission, and election commission also came out with certain actions which were not, one could easily see that those actions were not really transparent, and those actions were not really meant for, to show independence, but they were, in many cases, we saw that vindictiveness, because that aspect you cannot take aside, because humans are humans.
But,
Once you challenge them,
I totally
it
get
is,
that,
yeah.
sir. Arejati sir, I totally get that human beings are human beings. We are all bound to have our biases, and we actually fill in the positions all over the country. But, sir, with due respect, if you're talking about having a bias, that is a different thing. But when it comes to independence of an institution, usually it is thought that it is the executive or the government that might be in a position to exert some kind of influence. And if that is not there, and if the election commission is operating with an independent mind, shouldn't you think, shouldn't we think that it is independent already?
I don't think that it is only, you can show your independence only once you show yourself away from the government. But even to side with the opposition, I think to side with anybody, irrespective of, its position, whether it's government or its opposition, if it looks like that you are biased, bias doesn't mean particularly that, those people who are in the government, if you are siding with them, then you are biased. Bias means, even if you are siding with opposition and opposition doesn't have that demand which is rational and which is logical, and you are siding with them, or your actions speak, about your partiality towards any
Right.
group, any person.
Okay.
So I think both ways we should come out of this, even whether it is the judiciary, or it is
Right.
the election commission, or NAB. Everyone should show that he is loyal to the country, and he is whatever he is doing in the larger interest of the country,
Right.
without any political favoritism. If
Right.
that
That
is
is
the, yeah,
important, sir. That is
yeah.
important. Let me bring the discussion back to Javed Jazoon, sir. So far, we are talking about two things, EVMs and expatriate votes. But election commission and how it functions is also a broader context, right? It just emerged in this discussion as well. Why is it that for past 20 years, since democracy was nominally, at least at that time, restored in the country, and then it grew, we have been trying to fix election commission, improve upon it, and yet nobody is satisfied.
Absolutely, Farooq. I think electoral reforms shouldn't be confined to EVMs and the voting
Expatriate
rights for
vote,
the
yeah.
expatriates. Because the whole system has become really questionable. Whoever loses the elections alleges that the elections have been stolen or rigged, and every loser is a bad loser in Pakistan. Oh, this is how is perceived to be.
Yeah.
And whoever wins always has the kind of a question mark, which becomes literally kind of a sword of Damocles over it, said that, well, elections were stolen, rigged. I think what is needed, Farooq, is the holistic approach towards the electoral reforms.
Right.
I think our whole system has become questionable. We have talked in the previous programs as well that in most of the rural parts of our country, the voter is not even given the choice to vote on his own. Voters are literally herded to polling stations on the basis of the influential people's the kind of the clout they enjoy over there, and
Or perhaps
we have
people
seen
don't have commute, and whosoever
even-
gives them commute, they
and
actually
we know
go and
that
vote
for
for
us
them.
that
Extreme
in most
poverty.
cases transport is provided,
Yeah.
people are herded out of their houses and taken to the polling stations. And I think importantly what Arif Saab said, I totally agree that the number of votes polled in the favor of the winning candidates, even few hundred votes are cast, and the candidate is able to win the election and become part of the parliament. I think this is ridiculous
No,
because
but that is the first past the post system.
no, but that is what we are talking about. The kind of reforms we need to introduce that
proportional
I
representation?
think if there are 50,000 voters, eligible voters in a particular constituency, and because of the lack of interest of the voters, only few hundred are able to cast vote in favor of one or two candidates, and he is able to win and become part of the parliament. I think this is absolutely ridiculous.
No, but
because you need, this is what we are talking about. We need to change the system.
I know, sir. But one argument is that this is the system which invariably has worked in most of the world. I mean, in the US, in UK, in India, umpteen other places where democracy has been stable, this system has worked. So why do we want to actually open the hood every 5 minutes and redo the entire system? But you said that the entire system has become questionable. Then you also pointed out that we are bad losers. So who is questionable? The system or the losers who refuse to accept the loss?
I think we can look at it both ways. Even the political parties haven't shown the kind of maturity, and they haven't shown the kind of a spirit which needs to be demonstrated when you lose the elections. And secondly, of course, there are flaws in the electoral system as well. In the last 2 decades, if you only sort of spread our argument over the last 2 decades, every losing party in the past has alleged that elections were stolen and rigged. And they said that systematic rigging was conducted, and we were marginalized. And even today,
supercomputers were installed in the presidency.
Even today, most of the opposition parties are alleging that the PTI government is a selected government and so on and so forth. What really happens is the people start questioning as well, because when you keep on alleging that it is a selected government or it is a government which has come into power because of the rigging or stolen elections, then you sort of create the kind of credibility issue as well, as far as the people of Pakistan are concerned. And this is how you discredit the entire political system in Pakistan. So it goes in the favor of those who believe that Pakistan probably is not meant for parliamentary form of democracy. There is argument going on in the favor of presidential system and the parliamentary system as well.
70 years,
After
74 years,
of course.
Now we are going to actually bet on another horse. Let me go back to Azala Saifi Sahiba. Azala Sahiba, we were talking about your party's concerns also regarding the Election Commission of Pakistan. So at this moment, it seems that once you actually pick the team that heads the Election Commission, you have to stick to it, right? If you are introducing electoral reforms, and if you have genuine concerns about the Election Commission, shouldn't you also be incorporating your concerns regarding that into the bill that you are actually presenting in the Parliament?
Well, we're ready to present the bills, and we did do that in the previous year. But somehow the opposition at that point of time was preparing itself to have some kind of they had an alliance, and they wanted to come out on the streets and
PDM.
physically and otherwise wanted to finish off the government that is existing, that is of Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, which they were not successful in doing, and none of the public support they got to get their ideas be fulfilled. But somehow I feel, and the government and the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf government feels, that these reforms are inevitable and they will bring a complete change in the whole system. And like after every election for 6 months or maybe a year and a half or so, the party that loses is always complaining that there has been some kind of a rigging. And by bringing electoral reforms, we'll be able to bring a change no matter which government comes. At least there will be a complete justification of the results that come in the process of elections, and which will actually help people to look forward and to the new government. And even though the governments do come into power, there is always some kind of a complaint coming from the other end. So I think that will also come. come to
Ghazala
a
Sefi
halt.
Sahaba, can you qualify what kind of changes are you proposing in the appointment of election commission members? Because you said that last year we actually came up with a proposal and the opposition was not actually supporting the idea. What kind of mechanism change
Well, I'm not
are you
talking
thinking of?
about the about the people who would be a part of the election commission. I was talking generally about the change in the election system, about the electoral reforms, and as far as the changing of the whole office setup of the election commission. I'm not talking about that. I'm generally talking about the election reforms, which the opposition parties have also been asking for from years. And now
Right.
this is the time that we should all sit together, and there should be a compliance from all sides to bring electoral reforms to have a better futuristic election
Right.
results and acceptance
But
to it, and have a better democratic system in the country.
right, ma'am. I remember that when Deska's result actually was cancelled and there were other elections, your party actually came out and criticized the election commission, right? And the biggest story at that time was that the government didn't have any mechanism to get a reprieve on its own concerns, with the exception of either going to the election commission or the honorable courts. So one would have thought that your party would incorporate some concerns about that also into the system, given that the opposition is also complaining about RTS in 2018 and umpteen in other ways how the election commission operated, where there would be some kind of common ground. So at this moment, that
There
is
has
not a
to be
common
some
ground
kind of
you
a
are
common
exploring.
ground, basically, to come to terms with reality that these are inevitable, and all the parties will now have to sit down. And if the government is taking, I mean, is going forward with some reforms, then they should also step in and help the government to bring those reforms instead of completely boycotting it and rejecting the whole idea of election reforms.
Right. Let me go to Arif Chaudhry Sahab again. Arif Chaudhry Sahab, one issue regarding expatriates voting is that in the past the method was that there would be a ballot box installed into the embassies or consulates and people would actually go and vote there. Now the proposal seems to be, or the idea seems to be, to actually vote electronically. Don't you think that there is a possibility of something might go awry in that process, and how to fix those concerns, sir?
Tafi Saab, even if you want people to cast their vote through electronic machines, you need to have the supervision of staff which should conduct the elections. And without the supervision or superintendence of election staff, you cannot hold the elections because, electronic machines, if somebody comes over there and, he has to push the button and he has to cast his vote, it's not that, it should be open for all and, there should be no control. Naturally, you need to have a system. There should be a control, and there should be somebody who should be supervising election. But one thing which I was listening, because everybody says that when election is conducted, after that election every party says that election were rigged and they were stolen. Let me make it very clear. Even if you hold very, very transparent elections, the losers are not going to accept that. And this is now culture developed all over. And you see that even Donald Trump, he raised a hue and cry that legal votes are, there are the votes which have been cast against him are not legal. Legal and illegal votes, and then talking about rigging of election, and it is all
Yeah,
over.
postal
But
ballots.
I think, to be fair with the country and with the system, instead of thinking about changing the system, one thing which also should not be taken, should not lose our sight, that the constitution of election itself, election commission, that should be the main concern of the government. and of
Right.
the opposition, because if you cannot have a transparent system of selection of these people who are going to be the in charge of election, the chief election commissioner and the election commissioners, the members. So you cannot think of having fair, free and transparent elections. And you
No,
know
sir.
how they are now selected? Only
Arif
because
Chandra,
the opposition and government, they give their own names. And those
Arif Chandra
people
sir,
actually,
here's a
yeah.
concern. I understand that your suggestion or your concerns come from a very good place. Let me remind you how this current election commission actually came into being. Usually, as laid in the law, it was the idea that the prime minister will approach or talk to the opposition leader, and both sides will agree on one candidate. That didn't happen. The matter then went to a committee. Committee could not actually give result in time. Then it went to courts and then came back to committee. And in the end, this election
Yeah.
commission was formed. Sir, when the political class and the two leaders, I mean the leader of the House and leader of the opposition, cannot talk to each other, do you honestly think that there is going to be some breakthrough in such?
I have a better suggestion. I just don't want that, it should be left to the leader of the House or the leader of the opposition, keeping in view the prevalent situation. And even in past, because in our system, political parties, they are at war. At loggers had, it's not that, it's a political animosity or rivalry. It is very personal. So I think it should be the parliament. Mainly that these kind of selections should be made through parliament. Whether it is a chairman NAP or it is election commission, it should not be left to the discretion of the leader of the house and leader of the opposition. It should be left to the sweet will of the parliament, because they are the custodian of the will of the people. So as a whole, they should,
Right.
make these appointments, and those appointments, before you put these people, into this realm, their names should be placed, and everybody should know. People at large should know who these guys are, where do they come from, because I
Right.
have my personal experience that a guy, a judge who was known for his love for Muslim League and he was a member, and he openly was supporting them, and similarly the other political parties, those who have affiliations, So this kind of favoritism and this kind of colorful exercise of
Yeah.
discretion should be curtailed, should be tried to,
That should be the
brush
case, sir.
aside.
That should be
Yeah.
the case, but when you were talking about how the parliament should be playing a role, the scenes from the parliament only a week ago, when the budget session was going on and everybody was physically attacking the other side, that was coming to my mind. I don't want to bust any kind of trust bubble
No,
here.
but they select,
But,
Tafi Saab, they
sir,
elect their leader of the house. They,
yeah.
select leader of the opposition. Everything happens, notwithstanding the fact that they are at war and they're fighting each other, but they make these kind of elections. So if
Right.
you have to have these people, who are going to be, at the position where, which are going to have far-reaching effects, far, long-standing, so
Yeah.
they should be elected through the parliament. Parliament should be given
Yeah,
the choice,
I,
and
I
there should be
understand.
committees of the parliament.
I understand that the committee system in Pakistani parliament is very strong, and yet we don't see that kind of transparency or in their session. Live transmissions don't take place, Javed Jadun sir. But I have to actually bring you back to the issue of expatriates. I say this because it seems to be the sticking point here. And earlier, Arif Chaudhry Saab was talking about electronically voting while being supervised. And I was thinking that any country, for example, America, I give you three examples: America, Canada, and Russia. They are very huge land masses. And if in them, if somebody wants to actually lives in one corner, wants to vote, they'll have to actually cross half the quarter of the world to actually reach to the polling station. do you think that that kind of electoral process can go on? How does this work?
Farooq, please allow me to make a few comments what Arif Saab said about
Right, please do.
the role of the parliament. Farooq, you can't do the cherry picking. If you want parliament to pick the chief election commissioner and the members of the election commission, then what about the judges of the superior judiciary?
Yeah,
What about the chairman NAB? I think if parliament is the
He
platform,
agreed on Chairman NAB.
No, but if
but not the judges, and
no, I
it is
think-
going to be a
no,
bigger
No, but
problem.
it has to be, as a matter of principle. If you want to give the power to the parliament, then I think power to the parliament should not be confined to only selecting or picking up the chief election commissioner or NAB. Judges, I think, should also be included. And coming to your second point, I think, of course, I think it's a very, very valid point you raised, because we are talking about EVMs, but we haven't considered the kind of difficulties one could face when you deploy the EVMs. In a country like Pakistan, where I think about 100 or more than 100 million voters, eligible voters, are going to cast their votes, and most of them, 60%, are living in the rural parts of the country, where issue of education, issue of knowing the technology and using the technology in a way that you don't make mistakes, the way even some of the parliamentarians we have seen in the recent past, they made mistakes and their votes were declared invalid because of the procedural issues or
Procedural.
apparently.
Okay.
So I think,
Procedural.
I think it's a very valid question that before plunging into this sea,
Yeah. Logistics are a problem.
exactly, and I think even one of the programs you raised the point that machines, of course, are not going to be responsible for any kind of malpractices, but the people who are going to man the machines, they can definitely hack the system. They can create issues like we have witnessed in the past elections, last elections as well. I think probably government is getting into it a bit in a hasty manner. And secondly, and most importantly, Farooq, no matter what kind of differences you have with the opposition, no matter what kind of reservations the opposition have about the introduction of the EVMs, you need to sit with them and you need to talk to them ultimately, because once you impose this system and the opposition doesn't accept that system, once again I think the elections results would be they would become questionable.
That actually gives me a very clever question. Let me actually go to Ghazala Saifi Sahaba. I'm told that we are left with 4 or 5 minutes. Ghazala Saifi Sahaba, is there a possibility in coming days, given that the government has a lot of skin in this game, the government actually wants to actually go for EVMs, and cooperation from the opposition will come, of course, when the government is ready to tolerate the opposition and opposition is ready to tolerate the government as well. We haven't seen any meeting so far, even on the floor of the House, between the Prime Minister and leader of opposition. Is there a possibility of a chance meeting perhaps, between the leader of the House and leader of the opposition, even in the porch of the National Assembly or Senate?
Well, I think the possibilities are not closed. The doors are not closed by the government, but as it is, you see, it's the third year that's coming to an end, and the opposition parties still believe that Prime Minister Imran Khan, who is the elected Prime Minister of Pakistan, they still call him the selected Prime Minister and make fun of him when he is in the parliament, which is actually not acceptable by the party loyals. And that is which is stopping, I mean, for the derogatory remarks that the Prime Minister always uses. To ease the tension, the opposition leader will also have to have some kind, because they come into the parliament, they give their speeches, and they don't listen to the answers also and move back. So the whole environment uh, will have to ease off from both sides. If you feel, Dr. Patapi, that it's just the government's responsibility to bring them on the table, It is, but it is the responsibility of the opposition leader also to take his role seriously, because
Right.
he's also representing people. He's
Right.
not just he's in the parliament.
There's a
It is
reason why I'm
responsible
asking
of
about reaching out. It seems that while the government
out from
doesn't seem to,
we are
the Prime Minister
we
doesn't
are
seem to actually reach out to the opposition at this moment, at least opposition is reaching out to your allies. The meeting between Asif Ali Zardari and Parvez Elahi, and before that, the meeting between PMLQ and PMLN, that seems to be some kind of indicative of the changes
Well,
might
I
be coming
feel
in
that
Punjab.
Zardari Sahab has tried his luck with PDM, which was not successful because their DNAs don't match, and they have tried their luck in the parliament. It didn't work out. Now they're trying to negotiate with obviously will also not work out. So let him try his luck as a politician, as a leader of one of the parties from Sindh, which is now just a rural Sindh party, and see if he's able to get somebody in his party, which does not
Right,
seem possible to look at the whole
right.
past of
That's interesting.
this
That is
whole.
important as well. I'm told that we are left only with very little time. Alright, Chaudhry Sahab, I will like you to actually tie the whole thing in and help us understand what will it take to bring about the kind of electoral reforms that you see are essential. Very quickly, sir.
First of all, I agree with Mr. Jadoon that, I really want that, even the parliament should be able to, select, these judges also, judges of the superior
Okay.
courts, as it happens, in all other democratic countries. But as far as the future of this legislation is concerned, that lies in the $1 million question raised by you to Ghazala Safi, that how it is possible that leader of the opposition and leader of the government, they have even a shake hand. That doesn't seem to be nothing, because nobody especially prime minister and his team is not going to give up using these words, chore, daku, thief, and dacoits and plunderers and whatever. And same way, they are, both sides have taken their positions so strongly that the worst casualty is our political and democratic system, and
Right.
subsidiary these electoral reforms. Until and unless they come to terms and common sense prevails, better sense
Right.
prevails, this is not going to happen, because no legislation, I think, is possible without
That's a
their cooperation and their consensus.
Arif Chaudhry Sahab, that is a very important point. I'm told that we have to conclude the program here. Arif Chaudhry Sahab, thank you very much, sir, for your precious time. Azala Safi Sahiba, thank you very much for your time. And Javed Jadoon Sahab, especially thank you for taking our time and joining us here. Viewers, you have listened to our participants. One aspect which is very important when it comes to electoral reforms or running the machinery of governance. It is important to lower the temperature. If you have a car and if it keeps on heating up, you won't go very far. If you want to actually bring down the temperature, we need some kind of optics to actually suggest to each party's base that at least at minimum level, these parties are ready to work together. The scenes we saw last week coming from the National Assembly were not encouraging. And what happens is that when the leaders, who might be very rational, are not ready to stand together, have a photo op, have a handshake, they actually, don't do it. Then the supporters of each party gets really worked up, and then the entire system stresses. So it is important for us to see some kind of visuals in coming days as well, but simultaneously it is important to focus on the electoral reforms, and it will be great if the election commission, in consultation with the government of Pakistan and the committees that are overseeing this matter, give presentations to the people of Pakistan as well. That way, you educate the masses about electoral system and elections, and then also create the kind of enabling environment that may help you in reforming the system. This was today's program. Thank you very much for watching. Take care.